Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, welcome everybody to a beautiful setting here at Oschersleben with 21 degrees temperatures, clear blue skies, not really a cloud up there, and near perfect race conditions. Definitely perfect viewing conditions for the many spectators. They're here and there, tens of thousands this weekend. It's incredibly busy on this DTM weekend, and always a well-supported event this. First time that as a DTM package, the whole group have been here since 2015, and it really has been well supported, but not quite so nice in the cockpit, as Leighton Fourie was saying. Very hot. You can add 30 degrees temperature to the ambient, so if it's 20 degrees outside, it's 50 degrees in the cockpit of those cars. So Denny Bant on pole position, the winner of yesterday's race, winning the opening round of the season, and therefore the championship leader on 23 points. But he's got alongside him Leighton Fourie, who's in his second weekend of BMW M2 Cup, because he made his debut at the end of last season at Hockenheim, the very final weekend of the year, and got on the podium there. And he got on the podium again yesterday with a third-place finish. Bart Horston, who's the experienced driver in the field, because there are 16 drivers, and they've all but one of them having their first full season in the BMW M2 Cup. Bart Horston's the only one that was competing in the championship last year, the single-seater racer, with fourth place in the championship. Julian Denissen, the Danish F4 champion, had a pretty good qualifying yesterday, but slipped back a little bit in the race and had a lonely second half of the race to finish in fifth position. And with a bit of work to do, but having pulled off some good overtakes yesterday, expect this driver to come forward, because the number 5 car of Max Rosem was the driver that finished yesterday's race in second place. Colin Jamie Boninghausen is another driver that had a guest drive last year in the championship. This is his first full season. Problem with the car yesterday, this is his local track. He's 18 years of age, which is the average age of all the drivers in this field, 18. It's an incredibly young field. And he comes from Hanover, Colin Jamie Boninghausen, so a couple of hours from here, not too far away. The Dutch driver, Senna van Sola, is another one that was a guest driver last year, 17 years of age, and a front runner in the Ford Fiesta Sprint Cup last year. And then we've got starting 8th on the grid, one of the, was it 9 different nationalities that we got on the grid. The Czech driver there, Jan Mateus, who is a driver that had a guest appearance at the Norris Ring last year. Maxi Turillion, who lives and was born in Austria and Vienna, but actually races under the Argentinian flag because his parents are both Argentinian, is a driver that also made some good progress yesterday in the race and finished in 8th position. So Denny Bant, who's on pole position in the car to the left of your picture, number 8, the winner of the first race yesterday. And he has some tin-top racing experience, because he competed last year in the BMW 318 Ti Cup, which is a pretty high-level club championship with 40, 45 plus cars on the grids, and he competed in that last year, formerly racing in the 125cc Rotax Max category in German national karting for 8 years. So again, lots of these drivers are young, but many of them started racing when they were 6 or 7 years old, and already have built up a decade's worth of experience. So Berndt on 23 points, Rosam on 18, Fourie on 16 points. They're the top 3 of the championship. Horston in 4th place in the championship, which is where he finished the race yesterday, with 15 points. He slipped back a bit at the start yesterday, but Bart Horston did fight back well yesterday to get himself into 4th position in the end. A few drivers out there that are making their kart racing debut this weekend, having come fresh from karting. Spoke to Luisa Carla just before the cars came out onto the grid. 17-year-old from Dortmund, and she was pleased to have got the first race out of the way. Very different from karting, much longer races than she's used to at 30 minutes, and much hotter racing conditions with an enclosed cockpit and a roof above the car as well. But she's one of the 2 drivers that came through a shootout that was organised by the BMW M2 Cup and Thiel and Hoch to encourage and then promote young kart racers to have a season in the BMW M2 Cup and get their car racing experience underway. But she said, I didn't get a very good start yesterday, Luisa Carla, who's in the number 13 car, but as it went on, I got into it and I was able to pull off some good overtakes, and yeah, felt a lot more comfortable by the end of the race. So Luisa did well yesterday, into the points, and 11th place she finished. I also had a chat about an hour ago with Luca Link as he was getting ready to get the car out to the holding area. 19-year-old who Did some Porsche Cup car testing last year, but this is his first full season of car racing as well. And Luca must be just about the most laid-back driver in the BMW paddock. He was incredibly relaxed, super friendly chap, and he was speaking to me about the chicane, which we'll see in a minute, and I'll talk to you about that momentarily, because let's give you the grid first of all. You've seen them on the front row. Denny Bant starts on pole position. Leighton Fury starts second. They were both on the podium yesterday, first and third yesterday. And then we got Bart Horston looking for his first podium of the season, and Julius Denison starting on row 4. With him, 5th and 6th, Max Rosem, who finished in 2nd place yesterday. Colin Jamie Bonighausen, who will look to have a good result after disappointment yesterday. Senna van Solen and Jan Matthäus are next up. And then the 5th row of the grid is Maximilian Tarillion and Alex Walker, the British driver, who's driven all the way here, an 8-hour drive from the port to get here with Dad. Robin McAfee and Luca Link next up. And then Carmen Krav and Claudia Henning are 13th and 14th on the grid. Luisa Carla, as mentioned, finished 11th yesterday, starts 13th for this one. Adrian Rukni starting alongside her to complete the grid. 16 cars then lining up for a 30-minute plus 1 lap race. All the cars identical, and the drivers, all their cars are each round are drawn out of a lot, sort of videoed back at base. It's drawn out of names and numbers are drawn out of that, and whichever number you get, that's the car you get for that weekend. So they don't have the same car at every race. The engineers stay with the cars throughout the course of the season, so you work with different engineers. I was watching them training as well in the paddock. They've got great facilities in the BMW M2 Cup paddock with new massage facilities that they've got there. Very relaxed paddock, and new hospitality, a new barista area. But the drivers get this great training, as David Kolkman was saying, in terms of their physical fitness. They're all in groups training, passing weight balls around and doing upper and lower body strength and reaction training as a group, and all seem to be getting on at the moment very well, these young drivers. But yeah, just to mention the chicane at turns 8 and 9, you'll see it in the race. It's a pretty rough chicane, and Luca Link was saying to me, and so too was Robbie McAfee, you've got to stay off that. We've been told to not be too brutal through there, back off a bit. It might be a 1/10 of a second slower, but that caused some damage to some of the cars in yesterday's race as they were bottoming out and really rattling over one of the sausage curbs there. So that was the problem for Jan Matthäus' car. The number 57 car, if you watched the race one yesterday, was smoking midway through the race. Robbie McAfee had a face full of smoke when he was following that car, and that was damage to the underneath of the car that was caused by riding the curbs too much at turns 8 and 9. They've got some new slick tyres on for this one as well. They're 2 sets of new slick tyre allowance, so Luca Link was looking forward to driving that one with a new rubber and a track which, based on the sessions that we've had so far today with DTM qualifying and prototype Cup qualifying this morning, the track does seem to be quicker today than it was yesterday, or it did about an hour and a half ago, but it might be getting to that point where it's much hotter now, the track conditions, than it was yesterday. So the drivers all just about lined up, ready to go racing for round 2 of the championship, all in these identical BMW M2 CS cars. 365 brake horsepower, all the cars run by the same team of BMW engineers. This is very much about developing young driver talent, getting these drivers up through into GT4 through the BMW Pyramid and the Project 1 Pyramid, and run up to GT3 eventually. So these are some of the star names of GT racing that you'll see in a few years' time, finding their feet in the BMW M2 Cup. Right, we're about to go racing. Denny Bant is there on pole position. Chris Hartley here to talk you through round 2 of the championship as the lights go out and the race gets underway. It's a good start for the pole sitter. Denny Bant in the number 8 car, and a long drag then down to the first turn, the left-hander, but it goes straight into a right, and Leighton Fury has held on to his 2nd place as well. 3rd is still Bart Horston. Bonighausen's trying to be in 4th place, trying to go around the outside of Denison for that position as they make their way through the first couple of turns. But Bonighausen in the red car, the 55 machine, he went backwards a little bit on the first 2 laps yesterday. Good start, but he can't quite find a way through. But he's there in 5th. He's gained 1 place. So I think it's Rosan that he's got ahead of, and yeah, Max Rosen behind him in the yellow car has dropped 1 place down to 6th position, 3rd and 4th, nose to tail, as we get these great drone shots following the cars through then in towards the right-hander at turn 7. And then the next sequence of corners coming up is that chicane I told you about, where you've got to be careful not to rattle the curbs too much as you go through the right and the left at turns 8 and 9. There they go then, over those curbs, through the curb cam, to the speed of these cars, into turn 10, onto the back straight, and it's a slight rise up through through the back straight. It's a relatively flat circuit, this, but you do climb gradually all the way up the back straight, all the way through turns 11 and 12. Side-by-side action for third place, but Bart Horston just about hanging onto the position now in the 50 car from Max Rosen, who's there in fourth place. Fifth place is Bonighausen. And then just behind is Senna van Sola, the Dutch driver, in sixth place, the yellow car, with somebody looking up the inside of him as well. It might be Matthias, actually. It's gained a place on the way to the final corner. So the yellow machine in sixth place, under threat here. It's Denison, I think. Actually, Denison, yeah, getting alongside him through the final turn of the 17 car to try and find a way through. Still side-by-side look as they come into turn one, and he gets through on the way to the left-hand up. So a really good move, that, from the Dane, the current Formula 4 champion in Denmark, with a very different type of car to drive here this year, but showing what great skill he's got with that move. Nicely executed, getting ahead of the yellow number 24 car of Senna van Sola, who therefore is demoted down to 7th place as they work their way through that slightly banked left-hander at turn 3 onto the back straight, past the lake on the infield and into this triple left sequence at turns 4, 5 and 6, where it narrows up a little bit. And as you come out of the last part of the left-hander, you're almost immediately into the right-hander at turn 7. So the car, you have to have well balanced through that sector. Senna van Sola trying to come back then at Denison in 5th and 6th positions. Just drops a wheel off the curbs. Here's a wider view of that chicane I was talking about. You want to try and straight line it as much as you can within the track limits, but be careful not to be too aggressive over that sausage curb. So Bernd leads within second place Ferrari in the 46 car. Third is Bart Horston, but for how long? Because all over the back of him is Max Rosen, as we get a replay of the start. Wasn't a very good start for Denison. He was a bit sluggish off the line in the 17 car, which was why he was overtaken before they got to turn 1 by Colin Bonighausen in the red 55 car. And then you had Max Rosen staying up the inside. That was where Senna van Sola got ahead of Denison as well, up the inside into turn 2. Now Louisa Carla in only a second ever car race in the number 13 machine. Max Turillian was the other driver that came through that scholarship programme, straight from karting into car racing. And there you can see them attacking the curbs on the way through turns 8 and 9, but it's a little bit less than they were before. That curb's okay. It's the one on the way into it, that sausage curb to the left of your picture on the entrance, the one that they've got to be really careful about. So everybody survives the first couple of laps of the race. Some of them are feeling a bit more confident now because they've got their first car race out of the way. For almost all of them, it's their first M2 Cup race that they've got out of the way yesterday, apart from Bart Horston and the few drivers that did guest appearances last year, including Senna van Sola there in the number 24 car, who's onto the tail now of Colin Bonighausen, nose to tail as they make their way into turn 7. Right behind them, trying to recover after losing a bit of ground on that first lap of the race, is Denison in the 17 car. And you can see just how evenly matched these cars are. So it really is about drivers and about getting the right setup. Performance of these cars seriously equalised. As I say, they get to use different cars at different races depending on which one gets drawn out. Here we go. Senna van Sola looking up the inside behind, and we've got Max Rosen looking up the inside of Bart Horston to try and get that third place away. I said Max Rosen had some good moves yesterday in the first half of the race, so he's not shy in having a go and coming forward, and that was what got him up onto the podium. A couple of good battles to watch out for here. There might have been an overtake in the background there, with Matthias potentially gaining a place in the 57 car, battling away for 8th place with Turillian as they come through. And somebody out wide there in the back, that was Luca Link in the green and white number 33 car, kicking up the dust on the way out. And yes, it was Matthias that got the position in the background there, so he's up to 8th place now in car 57, ahead of the 58 car of Turillian. But we've got this terrific battle going on still for 5th place as we get some super slow-mos. And this, the 22 and 23 cars going side by side. 22 is the Australian Robin McAfee, who, like Alex Walker, is having to learn all the circuits, first season racing in Europe, and he was going wheel to wheel with Claudia Henning in the 23 car. Claudia had some good battles yesterday, but unfortunately got tapped into a spin in the first race, which put her further down the order than she would otherwise have been. So this battle still raging on for 5th place here between Bonighausen, van Sola and Denison, and joining the party now, having gained 8th place. The 57 car has already caught them up. Yeah, Matthias, the Czech driver. So 4 of them battling 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. And it's getting tight for the lead of the race as well, because Denny Burnt was 0.4 of a second clear of Leighton Fourie at the start of the lap. He's now just in front of him. Here's a replay. This fantastic drone cam on the way into the hairpin section at turn 3. Following them round there, and that's Sullivan Sola losing a position and down to 7th place behind Denison. So a replay of that. Good move from the number 17 car to just squeeze in between Bonighausen and Van Sola. Set that up nicely through that slightly banked left-hander. So position gained and up into the top 6 now. And he's got ahead of Bonighausen, look, as we come back to them. So the 17 car's gained another one. He's up to 5th place. Bonighausen of the red 55 car has dropped behind him. So Denison going well here. Looked like he struggled a little bit with the car in the second half of the race as Van Sola gets up the inside of Bonighausen with a tiny move through into turn 2. Well, they say you can't overtake very easily around Oschersleben. The BMW M2 Cup stars of the future are proving that to be completely wrong, because yesterday there were some good overtakes. There's already been a load today in this race. They're fearless, aren't they, these young drivers? Well, that was fantastic. So, great couple of moves there in that race. Colin Bonighausen started the race well, just struggling a little bit on this lap, just trying to get his rhythm back now in the 55 car, the young German driver. But he's got a queue forming up behind him, including Matthias Turillion and Alex Walker there in the green and white number 41 car, the ex-Formula 4 and Formula 3 racer. There's a replay from a different angle of side-by-side action as he got through at the end of the lap to gain that 5th place. Denison up the inside at turn 14. So one move at turn 3, one move at turn 14, and he's gone from 7th to 5th. So Bonighausen with work cut out here. 3 cars queued up behind him. Going to try and make that BMW as wide as he can, but there's a long race ahead still. Still got 22 minutes plus to go. So the car's hopping and skipping and bouncing over the tarmac, and Bonighausen going to lose another place there. At the inside of him comes Matthias through turn 14 again. So Bonighausen's lost 2 places at that corner, and he has to get back onto the racing line quick before Turillion gets past him in the 58 car. Alex Walker closing up as well. Multiple rookie podium finishes in his first British F4 campaign 4 years ago, Alex Walker, and a very competitive British F4 championship. He was one of the leading lights in the rookie division, but switches across now to BMW M2 Cup racing. He missed the pre-season test, he was telling me as well, so he's learning on the job here at Oschersleben, and he'll have to learn all the other circuits on the calendar. But Alex doing a good job. Came to the pits yesterday, but he picked up some debris and some fluid from another car, so he managed to get back out, he said, and the car felt pretty good after that. So there is Colin Bonighausen, who's slipped down the order in the last 2 or 3 laps, down to 8th place now. Just trying to stay up there, stay in the points, stay in the top 15 all-score points, stay in the top 10. It'll be a bit of a result, but becoming qualified well, he just hasn't been able to quite live with the leading race pace either yesterday or today. And again, the car is a bit loose, isn't it? Coming out of the turn, he drifts wide, coming out of turn 10, so up towards the right-hander at turn 11. Turillion is about to dive up the inside. Alex Walker is going to try and follow him through, and that's smart driving from Alex at the green 41 car. He saw what was coming up ahead. He got right underneath the rear wing of Turillion and just followed him through, and poor old Colin Bonighausen was powerless to prevent it, but he looks like he's really struggling with that car now. The back end is all over the place, and he's walking wounded, just trying to get to the end of the race if he can, but he's really fighting a car that's ill-handling for whatever reason at the moment. And now onto his case comes the Estonian driver, Carmen Krav, and she might have a look on the way into turn 2, because she's right underneath him now as they head into turn 1. Not quite the gap there on the way into the very bouncy section of tarmac on the way into turn 2. So Carmen Krav, the 17-year-old from Tallinn in Estonia there, pushing hard in the number 19 car. She has got some tin top experience, having raced a twin campaign over the last 2 years, racing in the World Karting Championships, but also racing in the Baltic Touring Car Championships in, guess what, a BMW, but a 325, former front-runner in the Estonian and Finnish karting championships. And then we're looking at number 22, Robbie McAfee, who's got some single-seater experience from Formula V and Formula Ford in Australia, and some sports car racing in Australia as well. Those Bart Horston, who's the only driver in his 2nd season in the championship, the 2 Australians. And yeah, Robbie, again, having to learn the circuits but he was really getting stuck in yesterday and was involved in a lot of the battles in that 22 car. Bonighausen going to lose 1-2 more places here. And yeah, he's definitely got an issue, hasn't he, Colin Bonighausen? He's a quick driver, but a car which is a real handful for whatever reason at the moment. So 2 more places lost on the way to turn 11, just like what happened to him on the previous lap. This time it's Kraft getting through and taking Luca Link with her, so they'll move up to 10th and 11th. And Colin Bonighausen in the red 55 car will go down to 12th place now. And still, with work to do. He's got Claudia Henning on his case next, and Robbie McAfee, who has got to come from a bit further back on the grid in this race than he did yesterday. So again, the drone shot tracks them out of turn 2 down towards turn 3. Behind Robbie McAfee, we've got the number 12 car of Adrian Ruchny, and then we've got Louisa Carla, who, like yesterday, struggled a little bit at the start of the race, but is starting to get into a rhythm now, and is actually the only driver out there that's just set a personal best lap time, and actually catching Ruchny ahead of her. So Carla in the 13 car, big step up from karts into cars, but doing a really good job. All of these young drivers. Great shot that as the cars fire themselves over that curb. See the tyre marks. The line for everybody. If you can turn a corner into a straight, turn it into a straight, but as long as you're within the rules of track limits, you'll be okay. So number 8, who was a more comfortable win for him yesterday. He's definitely been kept honest here by Leighton Fury. Again, he's a driver that brings quite a bit of experience with him into this championship. As we see up the inside, Claudia Henning gaining a place on Colin Bonighausen, so the 23 car now gains a place. And again, it's into turn 11. Looks like he's really struggling, not just with the handling of the car, but to get up the back straight, because there's 5 places he's lost now into turn 11. It might be the fact he can't get out of the previous corner, and he struggles at turn 14 as well, doesn't he? So past him now comes the 22 car of Robbie McAfee, or he tries to, because even though he's got a car which is ill handling at the moment and has clearly got a problem, Colin Bonighausen's trying to fight for every point he can get here, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to prevent the Australian coming through. He lines up, move up beautifully, gets up the inside of the way into the right-hander at turn 2, and I'm afraid another place lost for Colin Bonighausen, but full marks for trying, because he might not have the car underneath him, but he's still fighting for every single point he can. They're still side by side, but a left-hander coming up into turn 3. McAfee will get the position, and Bonighausen goes out wide, and that means another one might be lost here to the 12 car of Ruchny. Not quite, survives, but he's only got a couple of cars behind him now, so he's dropped all the way down to 14th place, having been well up in the top 5 at the start of the race. So a fraught race. We've also had a change up ahead with Alex Walker in the number 41 car, the green and white car, getting ahead of Max Tirillon for 8th place. Incident involving car 55 under investigation, as if his day hadn't got any worse. And then we've got wide onto the grass, not for the first time in the race, Luca Link pushing a bit too hard, so at the inside of him comes Karma Krav. So she's now up into the top 10 in the number 19 car, the white and blue car. Still trying to fight for every point he can. If he stays in the top 15, he'll be at least get a point out of this, Colin Bonighausen. It'll be the hardest fought point of his life, because he's having to really wrestle that car, isn't he? The 55 machine all over the curbs there. Must be really frustrated inside the cockpit. He's still got more than half the race to go as well. 15 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Flashing the lights then is Ruchny, who's got the line here into turn 1, but will be on the outside for the right-hander that follows immediately thereafter into turn 2. So Bonighausen will hold the line into the right-hander, but that car really seems to struggle coming out onto the back straight at turn 10, so there will surely be another opportunity here for the 12 machine to come through, and if that comes through, then Louisa Carla will try and get through and get herself up into the points. Adrian Ruchny, the 18-year-old whose racing hero, or motorsport hero, is the legend that is Sebastian Loeb, multiple world rally championship, because he's done some rallies himself. His dad was a rally driver, his grandfather was also a racer as well. So he competed, did Adrian, in the Auto Slalom Youngster Cup, then a Rally Sprint Cup a couple of years ago, and another one to compete in that BMW 318 Ti Cup last year. Side by side again for 3rd place here, holding on to the position just is number 50 Bart Horston, but number 5 Max Rosam came very close to him there. He's come alongside him a couple of times in this race. So the battle on for 3rd place in the race. bit more breathing space over the last couple of laps has been created by the race leader Denny Burns, just edging away slightly from Leighton Fury. Leighton, as I say, with a great pedigree coming into this championship. No Hockenheim when we get there, but all the other circuits new to him as well. 17-year-old in the 46 car from Johannesburg, who is the reigning Super Cup champion in South Africa, the Global Touring Cars Series, and also the South African VW Polo Cup and VW Challenge Cup champion in 2021. Here comes Adrian Rushni there, number 12. Another look at the inside on the way into turn 1, but rolling his sleeves up here is Colin Berninghausen. If he ends up winning the championship by 1 or 2 points at the end of the season, Colin Berninghausen, he might look back at this and think, oh, it was a nightmare race, but I really worked hard to try and get myself a 14th or 15th place, and those points will come in very handy at the end of the season, because it's likely to be very tight. We can see drifting wide there again as he comes out of turn 3 up into turn 4, flashing the headlights is Adrian, catching them up all the time in that rather nice looking deep blue, yellow and white number 13 car is Luisa Carla, in only a second ever car race, catching them up, getting into a groove now, but trying to find a way through might be difficult, because Adrian's trying all sorts of different lines. She can get right behind him, then they might be able to both dive up the inside and the back straight. You can see Colin's car again loose coming out of the final sequence of corners at turn 10 onto the back straight, but he's got a bit in hand this time, so they're not able to dive bomb up the inside of him at turn 11. 12.5 minutes to go. Denny Burns, Leighton Fury, Bart Horston, your top 3. Max Rozam still with them in 4th place in the number 5 car. There's Alex Walker coming through, having dispatched a couple of laps ago with Max Turillion, so better race 2 for Alex, having finished yesterday's race with that visit to the pit stop back in 14th position. But again, got some points, finished the race. So Denny Burns on for 2 wins. Leighton Fury's on for a 2nd and a 3rd if it stays like this. Bart Horston's on for a 3rd and a 4th. Max Rozam is on for a 2nd and a 4th as well. So who's that going off one? Kicking up the dust, I'm afraid. It's the 22 car, Robin McAfee, that's just come unstuck at turn 2. So easy to get it wrong there and run wide. You get lulled into a false sense of security because there's no gravel track there. You've got to kind of attack it, but as I say, it's really bumpy and bouncy on the way into that corner, and really, really easy to just run slightly wide and onto the grass. Here's a slow-mo replay, and yeah, it just took a bit too much curb on the inside there through the dust, and 1, 2, 3 cars come past him and rejoining at the back of the queue. So that will move Berninghausen up to 13th. Going forwards, it's not something that's been happening much for him lately. Rushni will move up into 14th, and Luisa Carla will come into the points in 15th place. And there, from another angle, you see the car all over the place again. So maybe he's got an issue now. That was coming out of turn 10 that time onto the grass. And Robbie McAfee, I'm afraid, might be heading for the pits. Maybe he's broken something on the suspension-wise. Talking about that sausage curb on the way through the chicane that they've got to be careful of. But the car, maybe that's why he went off the road in the first place. Might have a problem now, might have an issue. Right, so top 4 suddenly all bunched back up together, haven't they? Denny Burn was shaking them off. Now he's got his mirrors full, he's got his work cut out, with Leighton Fury bringing with him Bart Horston and Max Rozam. So the 4 of them together. Here's Colin Berninghausen. He's had a really nightmare race, a frustrating race, but he has at least had lots of coverage because he's been in the thick of the action in this race, trying to fend people off. So he gets a bit of respite, gets himself up to 13th with that problem for Robbie McAfee. So yeah, the last lap for the race leader, 136.6, 136.4 for Leighton Fury in 2nd, which is why he caught up. A 136.2 for Bart Horston, he caught them both up, and faster than all 3 of them was Max Rozam in 4th place with a 136.1. That's why it's all bunched up together. So now, is anybody going to try a move here? You'd have thought Max Rozam would be tempted, because the podium awaits if he can get past the number 5 car of Max Rozam, the 50 car at the back of the queue, rather, of Bart Horston. Now, come through, all tied together, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Rozam pushing on. looks smooth, a bit smoother than the others coming out of that final turn, doesn't he? Is it quick though? Is it quick enough? Maybe so. See Senna Van Sola flashing their headlights in the background in the yellow 24 car. He's trying to catch Julius Denison, and last lap he was 3/10 quicker, so that gap's coming down from 5th to 6th positions as well. Luca Link has got his work cut out here in the white and green car in 10th place. He's got ahead, though, of Carmen Kraft. So up into the top 10 for Luca. Carmen in the 19 car. He's in a sandwich because she's got Claudia Henning just behind as well. Claudia in the number 23 car looking to go up the inside here is out wide. Goes the 19 car of Carmen Kraft. The Estonian, though, has got the inside line for the next corner at turn 3. The left-hander just about holds on to her 10th or 11th position. Luca Link in 10th, just ahead of them, pulls away a little bit in the green and white number 33 car. And Claudia Henning almost finding a way through there, getting very close. They were fully alongside one another. She's a 19-year-old German driver, Claudia, in that number 23 car. And again, she's fresh from karting. The first season in cars is this year, been karting since 2014. Her role model, her racing hero, is Max Verstappen, as we see Max Rosam go up the inside of Bart Horston and gets himself onto the podium. So Rosam goes a bit wide on the exit to the next corner, but that was a good move on the way into turn 11. And it didn't take too long to do it, did he? He has been following Bart Horston for a while, but as soon as they all bunched up to the top 2, he thought, oh, I've got a chance here of a really good result. He went for it, and the number 5 car through and into 3rd place. So Bernd leads with 7.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Leighton Fury in 2nd place. Max Rosam up to 3rd. Bart Horston 4th. And then Denison on that lap in 5th place was a bit quicker that time than Van Sola. So the gap's grown between 5th and 6th. Number 17 Denison 5th. Number 24 Van Sola in 6th. And Mateus number 57 in 7th. Alex Walker number 41 in 8th. Then it's Max Turillion number 58. Luca Link number 33 to round out the top 10. Bobby McAfee, by the way, after his couple of excursions, has stayed out on track. And his last lap was a 1:36.3, so he's found his rhythm again as we get a replay of this move up the inside at the end of the back straight on the way into the right-hander at turn 11. And that was just about a perfectly executed manoeuvre. By the way, no further action on that investigation into Colin Bonighausen, so he's OK to carry on where he is in 13th place. Had a look at it, the stewards, but they were happy enough. So no punishments, no penalties. Just edging away a bit more on this last lap or so has been Denny Byrne. Just built his gap back up to 3/4 of a second. 0.02 quicker than him through the middle sector was Leighton Fury, so he caught him, but it caught him only very, very fractionally. It's been a very entertaining race, this. Lots going on. Then we got flashing the headlights, Claudia Henning, number 23, trying to get ahead of Carmen Kraft. And Kraft, the Estonian, stays calm. Doesn't get unsettled by that, but Claudia pushing on. Yesterday, Carmen finished in 12th place. Claudia Henning had a pretty good race, finishing in the top 10 in 9th position. Wants to get back in the top 10 if she can. She's 12th at the moment in that blue and white number 23 BMW. Still Adrian Rushny is stuck behind Colin Bonighausen, can't find a way through in the background. Look at this, these two close together. And Carmen now a little bit deep into turn 2. There's no way through here really, but up the next corner there might be an opportunity into the left-hander for Claudia Henning if she can find a way through, find a gap, get up the inside. Not yet. So Carmen keeps her at bay, and they remain as they are in 11th and 12th positions. It's a nice big gap behind them as well, so that means Claudia can try a few different lines without fear of being overtaken herself. That's a nice position to be in. Hasn't got to defend anything from behind. But all the time they fight each other. They're both dropping away from Luca Link in the 33 car in 10th place. A replay of another Colin Bonighausen moment. That car bouncing and hopping and skipping and running wide through the gravel. And that was a proper rough ride. He did well to control that, actually, because the car could have easily speared off up that escape road. So more trouble for him, as we've got now the 46 car. They're down into 3rd place of Leighton Fury. He's been overtaken by Max Rosam. and then he's almost been overtaken by Bart Horston. So down to third place for the South African, trying to hold on to third place on the run down into turn one, because Bart Horston right behind him. Max Rozam, who's got himself up in the 5-car to second place where he finished yesterday. So at the moment, you've got the same top four we had yesterday. Bernd Rozam Fury, who goes wide now, maybe struggling with the tyres. He understeers, throughout the inside of it comes Bart Horston, and suddenly, in the blink of an eye, having been second, having been pretty close to the race leader a couple of laps ago, Fury finds himself off the podium and down to fourth place. Gets close to the gap as well between the next two cars, Denison and Van Sola. Fury trying to fight back the South African, but just a scruffy lap from him, losing those two positions. It might be that the tyres are beginning to struggle a bit on the 46 car now in this heat. It's 21 degrees. It's not that hot temperature-wise, but the track is much, much hotter, the track temperature, and that's what's going to be punishing the tyres. It's 31 degrees, the track temperature. He's going to replay of him just running wide there on the way into turn two. He had to brake late because he knew Bart Horston was right behind him. You can see the car bouncing then on the way through, and as soon as you run over that curb, it sends you wide, and that was enough to lose his second position in the space of about 30 seconds. So try and regroup now and try and get himself at least back on the podium. But Bart will not want that to happen, because he's looking for his first podium finish of the year. We've got 3 minutes plus 1 lap remaining in the race, and again Leighton Fury wide there, understeering. So again, I'm pretty sure it's struggling on the tyres now, and that probably puts pay to his chances of getting back onto the podium. Have to be careful, because in the background, Denison and Van Sola are not far back either, in the white 17 car and the yellow 24 car. So number 8, Denny Berndt, leads. He's kept cool, he's kept on it, he's kept very smooth, and he's looked after his car well. That was a proper wild ride, wasn't it, from Leighton Fury? 2 wheels off the grass, 2 wheels in the air, bouncing over the curbs, bouncing through the gravel. And again, good car control to get it back on the tarmac, because that could easily have gone into a proper oversteer spin. But he'll be frustrated that he's now off the podium, having looked good for second place and very close to the race leader, as I say, just a few laps ago. It's a long races though for the drivers to A, stay focused, but B, the cars change, the tyres change, cars get lighter, less fuel, track gets hotter, and the tyres get more worn. So that's why the lap times are down now, around about 9/10 of a second, a second a lap slower for some of the drivers than they were going earlier on. So they have to adapt their driving to suit the less grip that's now available to them. So number 8, Denny Berndt, leads, looking for win number 2 to extend his championship lead, to get another 20 points in the bank to add to the 23 he already picked up for the race win yesterday. You get 20 points for a win, 18 for second, 16 for third, 14 for fourth, and 12 for fifth, and then 10 for sixth. Then it goes down in 1 point increments down to a point for 15th. 3 points for qualifying on pole. You also get a point for the fastest lap in the race, and they all add up at the end of the season as well. I see Colin Bunning has now to try and fend off Louisa Carla in the 13 car, but she's not quite close enough to him. She's 14th now, having got ahead of Adrian Rushny. So Rushny spent so long staring at the back of Colin's red 55 car, trying to find a way past, and has ended up losing his own position. He had a slow lap last time around, which is why Louisa has got through. So she is on course for more points here, having progressed up now into 14th place. Can she get 13th place away from Colin? Rory McAfee's trying to catch them back up in the background as well, and he's doing so. He's much quicker than the 3 cars ahead of him, so Robbie's found the rhythm again. Maybe the second time he went off the road, it was just dirty tyres from the first excursion. He went off at turn 2, then he went off again on the same lap at turn 10. But you can see him coming luck in the number 22 car. So the Australian gritting his teeth here, trying to get some points back out of this. 1 overtake, and he'll get a championship points if he can get into the top 15. Bonninghausen still working hard. 4 seconds left on the clock, so time will run out on this lap. Then we'll have 1 more lap at the end of this. A lap and a half to go, less than that for the race leader, Denny Berndt. Fastest lap of the race so far belongs to Bart Horston with a 1:35.172. So as well as points for third, 16, he'll get a bonus point, 17 points to add to his tally. And we'll take him on to 32 points. Leighton Fury in 4th place is going to get 14. and that would put him onto 30 points. So Bart Horston would move up into the top 3 in the championship, I think, albeit 2 rounds of the 12 have only been completed, so it's very early days. This first weekend of 6 for the championship. So Bönninghausen, fair play to him, has worked really hard here for any points that he's going to salvage from this race. Seems to have worked a way around the car, and he goes over the line now with a length or so, 2 lengths advantage over Luis Acala. Already well onto the final lap of the race, though. Right, leaders, you're looking at Alex Walker going in 8th place into the left-hander at turn 3, followed by Turillion and Luca Link just coming through into the corner next in the background. So 41 Alex Walker on for his best results so far in 8th place. No, he's 7th because is this him getting up the inside? Possibly so, into turn 2 at the start of the lap. Yes, I think it is. So he's, yeah, ahead of Mateus. So a place gain for Alex into 7th on the final lap. So a much better Sunday than Saturday. As I say, he didn't test here, so he's been learning the track and the car all the way through the weekend on the hoof, and he's done well. So into turn 11 for the final time, and into turn 12 now for one last time goes our race leader, Denny Berndt. Max Rosenby's coming after him, but he's probably going to run out of time. Bart Horston, he's on course for 3rd in the race and 3rd in the championship. Flashing the lights is Max Rosen, but you're not going to put Denny Berndt off because the checkered flag awaits, and it's going to be 2 wins out of 2 for Denny Berndt. He takes the checkered flag, wins round 2 of the championship, and further extends his early championship lead. 2nd place for the 2nd time this weekend to Max Rosen. Bart Horston gets his first podium of the season. And then over the line in 4th place was Denison. So Denison comes home 4th. Van Sola comes home 5th. And Leighton Fury with a car which just looked off it, didn't it, for the last few laps. Tyre problems, I reckon. Certainly handling problems for 46 there in the background. Look, he lost 2 more places right at the end of the race. So down to 6th position for Leighton, having run 2nd with about 5 or 6 minutes of the race still to go. So a frustrating 2nd day for Leighton Fury, but he'll be pleased with the podium he scored yesterday. So it's Berndt, Rosen and Horston that will be on the podium. Denison in 4th, Van Solen in 5th place, Fury down to 6th. Alex Walker gained a place on the final lap of the race to get 7th. And then Jan Mateus comes home in 8th place. So there your top 8, 20 laps completed. 0.6 of a second between the top 2, as Max Rosen was definitely coming after Denny Berndt, but Denny maybe just nursing the car home to make sure he got his 2nd win of the weekend. Turillion in 9th place, Link in 10th, and then Henning and Krav 11th and 12th. Bönninghausen a hard-fought 13th place, Carla in the points again in 14th, and Rushni in 15th place gets the final championship point. He was only 0.2 of a second ahead of Robbie McAfee over the line, so Robbie almost got back into the top 15 as we get super slow-mos of our top 3 finishers. Bart Horston in car 50, there number 5, Max Rosen, the German driver. 2 podiums out of 2, 2nd in the championship after Oschersleben for him, but the championship leader with another 20 points, I think he'll be on 43 now, but if my maths is right, for Denny Berndt. Perfect start to his 2023 campaign, his first season in the BMW M2 Cup, a double race winner. So there's super slow-mos of your top 3. Pretty flawless drive from Denny. Looked like he's controlling things, didn't it? When they got onto him, each time that happened, he just pulled away a little bit, just gave himself a bit of space. He looked like he was really looking after the car as well. Smooth driver, looking after the tyres, and just winning the race, not trying to rag the tyres and push the car too hard, nursing it, looking after it, and winning by, in a true Gilles Villeneuve style, the smallest possible margin, but winning the race, being sympathetic to the car. So Denny Berndt, he took an eternity to get out of the car yesterday after the race, so don't expect him to leap out anytime soon. He's a very laid-back character, seemingly. So he'll just, you know, undo his belts and make sure everything's put back in the correct slot, in the correct place, get out of the car. And all looked very chilled out, although also I think there was a little bit of tiredness yesterday because, as I said, he's very, very hot in the cockpit of those cars. And 30 minutes plus 1 lap, a long time, because they were sat in the cars on the grid for a long time as well with no airflow. So that is why they'll put through these physical fitness tests before each race. And they have their own programs, of course, as well. I think the series manager, Jorg Michaels, will be very happy with the way things have gone in this first weekend of the season. And the driver coach, David Kochman, who you heard from on the grid with Farina, former Formula 4 racer and Porsche Carrera Cup racer, will be pleased that these young drivers have picked up some of his tips and experience. An incident is being investigated between Denison and Ferrari, just to let you know. So that's being looked at. And there we see the second podium of the weekend. Very good start for Max Razam, a tall German driver. So there, points 40 for Denny Berndt, Max Razam and Denison second and third, according to that. But Bart Horston's missing, I reckon. I think Bart Horston's up there in third, but we'll see when it's all made official. Certainly, there's no doubting that Denny Berndt is the championship leader. Both pretty tall, aren't they? And all smiles. Really good to come through your first weekend of car racing, isn't it? So we can get some reaction now before we get to the podiums. Let's catch back up with Verena.